Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the seventh episode of the SIS Coffee Talk series. Thank you all for joining us as we explore a topic unfamiliar to many parents, TikTok. So I hope you all can hear me all right. Okay, so while the pandemic has pushed us all to be masters of online meetings and webinars with Zoom, Google Meet, and Microsoft Teams, I think you can all agree with me on this. And we are sure of this because you're all here with us today on Zoom, right? TikTok is a whole other ball game for most adults. We've all heard of it, and some of our children may be on it, but what exactly is it? Given the scale and the vast reach of TikTok, we know the content on this social media platform is way past dancing video. So tonight, let's eat or throw any presumptions of TikTok that we may have and try to understand it a little better and dive deeper into how you can guide your children in managing online challenges. So before we start, let's go into a few house rules for us to have a smooth session this evening. So first of all, this evening could take about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the Q&A session at the end. Okay, so please mute yourself while the panelists are speaking. If you have any questions along the way and you don't want to forget them, just drop them in the chat box and we'll get to them during the Q&A session at the end. And lastly, if there are any technical slips along the way, please be patient with us while we try to fix them. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce tonight's speakers. First off, we have Elizabeth Wong. Elizabeth is the founder of the Facebook group Malaysia International Schools Parent Support Group, or MIS-PSG. I know many of the parents will know MIS-PSG when it's abbreviated that way. And MIS-PSG has about over 38,000 members that come together on topics relating to international school. It's basically the go-to group for parents. Next up, we have Suhaili Khalid. With a background in cybersecurity and also social media platforms, Suhaili is a content moderator on TikTok whose role is to ensure content submitted is in accordance with TikTok's community guidelines. Last but not least, we have Michael Owen, Deputy Principal at SIS Sunway City, Kuala Lumpur. So Mr. Owen, or Michael, has been with the Sunway Education Group for over 15 years, and his responsibilities include student welfare, such as student discipline and school operations. Okay, so let's dive right into it. So TikTok is everywhere nowadays, okay? Especially with the younger generation, it is the fastest growing social media platform with 1.2 billion monthly active users worldwide. And the majority of them are Gen Z. So for tonight's Coffee Talk on TikTok, we want to help you understand more about TikTok, what resources are available for you as parents and caregivers, and also how we can all come together to guide your children as they navigate this digital space. So let's get right to it. Okay, so let us start off with the first question of tonight, and this will be for Suhaili. For those who are not really familiar with TikTok, what is it and how does it work? Hi, Suhaili, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Thank you for the for the reminder. Okay, basically, TikTok is a very straightforward social media platform, which if you have one on your device right now, you can open it and we can go through the app together, because by doing so, you will get the idea of what TikTok is. Okay, if you have your phone right now, you can also open it on your browser, desktop. Okay, click on the app, and then the first thing, okay, we can also play the video here. Okay, after you click on the app,
nice romantic restaurant in the
Hari tu aku cakap kat dia orang datang piknik.
Hello guys, so video kali ni aku akan share dengan
kadang-kadang orang tanya tak penat ke bekerja? Penat! Aku penat! Aku tak kerja tak ada duit. Tak ada duit macam mana nak beli kopi?
okay, this is basically what you will see on your app. Videos, after that another videos if you keep on scrolling it up. Okay, so from here, you can see that the platform is basically a video sharing app. Video sharing app that's showing videos from users around the world. Okay, as you can see from the screen here, at the top of the device, of your device as well, you can see the title of For You. Okay, For You, basically, it will show videos related to your interests. But if you are the first time users, you will see videos that might not, attract to your interests. For your video on how our system actually show videos that related to your interests is based on your behavior on the app itself. Okay, like for example, when you open the app, the first video, you watch it for the whole duration time, of the video. Our system will read it as, okay, this type of video actually meet to this user's interest. So we will tick that interest in our system. Okay, how about the second video after you scroll it up? Okay, you only watch it only like for a few seconds. Our system will read it as, okay, this type of video doesn't suit your interest, and so on. Okay, after quite some time, based on the interest, based on the information that we gain from your behavior, okay, we will only show the videos that only meet with your interest under For You. You see, like nowadays teens, they love to swipe.
Hi, Suhaili, you're muted. Suhaili, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Okay, we're back.
FYP means For You page. Okay, can you hear me now, right? Okay. If you see that nowadays teens love to put hashtag FYP. So FYP means For You page, where the content, the users will show their content, will post their content, and the content will show on For You page. And then it based on your behavior, either you like it or not, and then our system will show it based on your interest. That is basically what TikTok is. So at the side of the For You page is the following, where it only shows the accounts that you followed, not other user account that you don't follow. Basically, as you can see here, that TikTok sparks creativity. We encourage users to show their creativity through videos, not a long post with image, not a long post with videos. It's just videos. So we are also ensuring our platform a safe place for everyone, and also encourage every users to post positive content to make everyone feel inclusive using this platform. Yeah, that is basically what TikTok is.
Thanks, Suhaili, for the crash course on TikTok. So I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that gives you an insight of what is actually, what's in the app itself. We are way past TikTok being, just dancing videos, but like what Suhaili has mentioned, there are different types of videos in there. And I'm sure some of us have seen, TikTok videos appearing on other social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, because I'm pretty sure even my 72-year-old mother can be seen watching TikTok videos that have made her way to her Facebook feed. So let's move on to our second question. Michael, as deputy principal of a school with hundreds of teens, in your opinion, why do you think so many teens love TikTok?
Thank you, Leanne, and good question. While I work with all of our students at Sunway International School, as we get older as educators and parents, keeping up with the trends can be quite challenging. So I remember an old Simpsons episode where Grandpa Simpson tells Homer Simpson, "I was cool once, and now the world passed me by, and it will happen to you too." And the younger Simpsons don't follow along with that. They don't see it just yet. But when it comes to TikTok, what I can say is that the content that's on the platform is engaging, it's stimulating, and it's downright fun. So I think what it does is it takes the best of the other social media platforms, as you've mentioned, such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and even Twitter in terms of the short form content, and has many ways perfected it because it is one of the fastest growing and most used social media apps available at the time. And I think the way it did that is that it takes advantage of the latest trends. So as we were getting away from the more traditional social medias as Facebook and Instagram and the others, we could see that early adopters, such as the internet personalities, were starting to move over to TikTok. New personalities were growing on TikTok, and the word was reaching out, as you said, Leanne, and other platforms like Facebook and the others. But we also see celebrities also adopting and using TikTok, musicians, and then what I do see lately is the music of TikTok is actually adjusting and affecting our children's tastes in music. So some of the background music that's selected is now becoming tunes you hear students humming in the hallways or singing to each other, made popular through TikTok and not through the radio. Now, I'm still an old man myself. I like to listen to Fly FM in the morning with Douglas Lim and Juanita, but that's a little bit old fashioned. Also on TikTok is a way for students to spread memes and for other memes to be spread around. So there's new content generation, new popular culture growing on the platform. And even if we look back, and it's still going on now, but there's all sorts of challenges that show up on TikTok as well. So these are just a few of the examples that I think that really catches the attention of the younger audience. And as I've mentioned, because it is in a short form video format, that comes from anywhere between a few seconds to just a minute or so more, it does meet the new attention span that we're working with. I believe some studies that I've seen recently has mentioned that the overall attention span of Gen Z and millennials to get their attention, to attract them and hold on to them, is just a few seconds long. So after about 8 seconds, if the content isn't engaging, they're going to want to move on to the next. And I think TikTok satisfies that need to be engaged and that need to be entertained very well. Also, what I think is really important here is that TikTok also provides the content generation. It allows students to become creators themselves. So while they can create on Instagram and they can create on Facebook, I think TikTok provides a greater spotlight and showcase for these new creators. So I think the idea of being viral is still important. And because TikTok is a different audience, a different platform, I think it works really, really well to capture the students and capture just any young person, so not just students. And then finally, I think the last part that really makes TikTok so effective is that algorithm that's working behind the scenes. So as Suhaili was mentioning, when you select videos you like, or if you watch videos that you like, it definitely starts learning what your tastes and preferences are. So you start seeing more of what you what you would enjoy watching, and you'll see less of what you might not enjoy watching. And then the algorithm is smart. So when something new and trending comes up that it might attract you or might be interesting to you, it'll share that in that stream of videos that you see. So overall, I believe these are things that makes TikTok very popular. And again, making it something that you do see prevalent in young people. It is the in thing, and it might be the in thing for a while until the next platform comes along. But for Suhaili's sake and everyone else's, I hope TikTok lasts for a little while longer.
Thanks, Michael. I think what you said is true, because it really hit me that TikTok is the platform when I opened my Spotify, and there's a song called It's Corn, and it's a trending song that's is super trending on TikTok to the point that it's got its own hashtag called #CornTalk. So could we maybe get the parents' perspective from Elizabeth? What do parents say about TikTok, and are there any real or significant concerns?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Michael has pretty much explained in much elaborations of what TikTok is to our young generations. I think purely from a parent's perspective, the concerns really is, the fact that our young people, especially if we have young children, being exposed to this whole wide cyber world, the kind of influences that they are being exposed to, which, may not really conform to the family values, the exposure to, all sort of, challenges, especially we've heard about some of the dangerous challenges that goes on, and little ones who watch it not knowing, going through the challenges and harming themselves. I think that's really one main concerns that parent has. How do we manage the exposure that they have through this really viral platform? And of course, the other concern, our next slides, is I think everybody can relate to this, where I suppose some adults as well, the hours that our young people can spend scrolling the screen, going through videos and on the apps for hours. So yeah, I suppose these are really the two main concerns from a parent's perspective, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Thanks, Elizabeth, for sharing. But yeah, it's good to get different perspectives, and what you say, there is truth to it as well, because I'm an adult and I can spend 3 hours on TikTok. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So this actually leads us to the next section of tonight's talk. We want to talk about safety, privacy, and security with regards to TikTok. So maybe let's start with some general advice from Suhaili. The biggest TikTok, as as Michael and Elizabeth have mentioned, is the content. But that is also the bigger challenge as well. So how does TikTok empower user experience, but still ensure that the contents are age appropriate?
Okay, thank you, Lian. I understand that this is a concern for parents when they see their kids suddenly able to access TikTok, and then they are trying to figure out how to restrict the teens from seeing dangerous content on the TikTok. Well, first and foremost, what I would like to say is TikTok is actually we are ensuring that our platform is a safe place for everyone. So that's why we came up with community guidelines where all users, they need to abide it. And then in regards to age appropriate, we also have rules where only minors above 13 years old can have an account with TikTok. So here, any minors that are trying to, sign up an account, and then we know that the birth date is below 13 years old, it will immediately, reject it will reject the request, and they will see this notification that you are not eligible for TikTok. Okay, here the parents might say, okay, how about if they try to change the year of the birth date? Well, I tried this already on my phone, and then I put the year based on my born year, and then it doesn't allow me because of the first trial. So our system is quite secure. The minors might have at first difficulties to circumvent it by putting a different year, a previous more bigger year. So here, what parents can be assured of, that you need to see if the teens, the minors below 13 are interested to see videos on TikTok. You can advise them that you can see from your account, the adult's account, and then you, at the same time, you can monitor what type of content that you can allow them to watch. Okay, we're going to the next slide. Okay, it's about the content. Okay, how can we actually ensure the content submitted to TikTok platform safe for everyone? Okay, first of all, every content that's submitted to TikTok, it will go in through screening. First, we have artificial intelligence, AI, to check on the content if there are indicators that will actually hit our community guidelines. And then if there are other indicators that our AI could not identify, it will go to human queue, which is that is my role. That is my team's role, where we will moderate the content ourselves. Okay, because AI could possibly have difficulties to identify the indicators on the content. Okay, we actually identify minors in Malaysia. We identify minors below 17 years old. Below 13 years old, you cannot create any account, but above can create an account. But for the content, any minors below 17 years old, okay, we have restriction for them. For example, once they able to sign up an account, there will be certain features that turn off by default. So this one we will go through the next slide. Okay, before I go through this part, you need to understand that based on our community guidelines, I'm afraid that there are some parents could probably, you know, before you created a content and suddenly your account got suspended. Okay. And then your account got suspended. And then from there, you should actually review back our community guidelines, because from the community guidelines, you will get an idea what type of information, you know, that you might not have abide. So for the minor safety, these are the guidelines that we put on our website for users to review. And as you can see, the topics here are quite, you know, severe, you know, sexual exploitations of minors, grooming behavior, nudity, harmful activities, physical and psychological harm of minors, crimes against children. I would like to say that this you will not see on TikTok platform, but in content moderators queue, we see all these type of contents that I can assure you could harm the users if they manage to see this content. So if you want your child to be safe, you can go through our community guidelines and give them the idea, okay, this is what you need, this is what you can do and what you cannot do to actually prevent from being, you know, from being blocked, you know, in the account from being blocked. Yeah, that is basically what one of the, you know, one of the ways of us to keep the platform safe. And then we can go to the next slide. Okay.
Okay. Sounds like,
Okay.
Suhaili, you have quite a tough job, but it's definitely an important job. Thanks, Suhaili, for sharing some insight on this, especially on the question, what if my child changes their age? You basically answered the question even before it was asked. So let's shift the focus back to Elizabeth. In this digital age, it is virtually impossible for parents to stop their children from accessing social media. And like any other platform, there is always a risk of cyberbullying, shaming, and criticism. Besides taking advantage of the suggested safety and privacy features, of the safety and privacy features that are available on TikTok, what else can parents do to educate and keep their children safe online?
I think first of all, I'm glad to hear about the content control that is being put in place on the platform itself. If given the chance, I'm going to try to test it out at some point. Now, back to the question, most parents, you know, we really consider a digital immigrants compared to our children who are digital natives, since they grow up in the digital age. Some parents are already finding it challenging navigating the digital world themselves. And then we have this, you know, thrown in this added responsibility to keep our children safe online. really the question is how many parents really know how to do it unless they are pretty tech savvy. I think if we look at the slides, so we have, this is a very high level coverage under digital literacy that I know quite a number of schools, especially from international school, are already covering. As parents from our generations, some call us baby boomers, we haven't gone through this before. Not when we were young, not now, unless, we take initiative to pick it up. But then, really it's a wide digital world for us to navigate ourselves. The question is really who will provide this education to the parents to then pass it on to the children. I don't have the answer for that. Possibly somebody will come up with something at some point. Then the next thing is, I suppose the general rule of thumb is really to self-regulations. And this is where basically the ability to understand and manage one's own behavior and reaction. And I think as a parent, this is something that we can teach and guide our children. And self-regulation is something that, even a toddler can, start to learn through, parent role modeling and guidance. Self-regulations help kids learn, behave well, get along with others, and become independent. Self-regulations begins to develop rapidly in the toddler and preschooler years. And again, I think just to relate to, again, to the platform that I run, this is where when parents look for a school for the children, these are the areas that, we could actually pay attention to as well if school actually practice such culture within the school itself. Because if they do, in a way, as the parents, we could actually pick up and learn through, this whole new era education system. And of course, finally, we should, as well, parents, we should listen to what our kids have to say and be there to support them. Help them understand why rules are put in place. Is to keep them safe, is to keep everybody on the platform safe so they can continue to enjoy the platform. Be available when they want to have a chat, perhaps about what they chance upon when they are scrolling and being on the internet without judging them, have conversations with them about it. As much as possible as parent, I know it's not easy, though not panic when things go wrong. I don't know if they accidentally publish something about themselves on the internet and they get blackmail, how should they react about this? I have had conversation like this with my children as well, in terms of, how they should react when the worst happened. Teenagers especially, they want us to trust them, and this is where we should have discussion with them about responsibility of getting trust from us. And as usual, they want privacy as well, and this is where certain boundaries should be discussed upon, and in terms of boundaries and expecting them to respect. Otherwise, there may be certain consequences that can take place, and they understand why that is happening. Yeah, that's pretty much it from me.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Those are really good tips. And I think the point on self-regulation, it's a really good point. We are all figuring this out. And I believe that parents would agree when we say that, we try our best to guide them, but educating them and encouraging self-regulation is probably better than, trying to outright say no, and then trying to ban them. And then, they will go behind your back and sneakily use it anyway. So, Hailey, maybe are there any important or useful safety features or parental control in TikTok that you can share with us since you've got the inside scoop?
Yes, definitely. Okay, I understand parents that they want to allow their teens to use the app, but they also want to have the control on it. So, TikTok said that we want to ensure that our platform is a safe place for everyone. We have these safety and privacy tools for parents. I think all parents will like it, which is the family pairing. So the family pairing is actually to allow parents to link, to link the teen's account to their account, and then it allows them to set parameters for the account, for the teens account, which is you can use this feature to make the account private, to allow certain people to comment on your teens videos, to also turn off the feature for direct messages if you don't want any stranger to message your teens. You just want to allow their circle of friends in on the account itself to message your teens. And also in terms of search feature, also you can control it. You can turn it off, you can turn it on. And also about the screen time management, I think all parents would love this, because you don't want your teens to get really caught up on the app, and then when you see them like you on TikTok for so long, and then not to worry, because this feature is very helpful for you to set for your teens for how long you want them to be on TikTok, like for maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes, you can check on the future. And also for the restricted mode, you can also go through the features on the app, which I will show you this video. It's quite interactive and it's quite informative as well. You can play the video. Okay, this is the guide for the family pairing. You click on the toggle at the top of the account, and then you can continue to set the limit. You can select the parent account, and then you can ask your teen to open your account and follow the same steps and scan the barcode. You can select the teen's account, and then here you can see what features you can set the parameters. This is the screen time management. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. The search one, you can turn off if you don't want your teens to search things that you want to expect them to search, or maybe you want to have these features on when you are with them, to go through with it together with them. You can go to the next slide. Okay, how about the account settings? Like, you can actually go to the setting part, which is if you go to your account profile, at the very right top of the screen, you can click on the three lines, and then you can go to settings and privacy. You can go to the privacy feature, and then if you want to have the account to be private, you can just turn on the feature. Here also at in this part, in that section, you will see other features as well that you can go through to make it more private, or you want to make it more secure. It depends on you. It depends on you. Can we go to the next one? Okay, how here also, like I said earlier, you can also filter comments. This is actually to help your teens to have a great experience while using TikTok, because nowadays we can we don't want like teens to have to be cyberbullied by reading comments that is unnecessary for them to read. So you can also filter comment types here. Okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, the manage screen time, you can also have this feature active, like how long you want them to have breaks for each and every period of time that you have set for them. Well, and then the next one is the direct messages. I believe that this one is very good, because we don't want strangers to easily text your teens and then invite them to unnecessary conversation. You can, and then you can see here what are the features that we have on the settings and privacy section, which you can go through together with your teens and agree on what features that should be on and what features that should not be on. Yeah, that is basically the safety and privacy tools that we have on TikTok.
Thanks, Suhaili, for sharing these useful tips with us. NGL, that's teen slang for not gonna lie. I'm quite the regular on TikTok, from a consumer's perspective, to the point that I think someone has to use those parental controls on me, especially the screen time management one. So let's move to the next section. A lot of people would say that the future of learning will be social. Even TikTok provides a complete TikTok guide for teachers in the classroom. So despite skepticism, we do see many successful cases, especially during the pandemic over the past 2 years, where students and educators leverage TikTok for inspirational stories, motivation and learning, and also dalgona coffee. So my next question would be for Michael. Teaching the new generation may require a different approach. What are your thoughts on schools utilizing TikTok as part of their educational tools for lesson ideas or activities?
Thank you, Leanne, and a good question. So to start, when it comes to any app, especially a social media app, it really depends on the context of what is the purpose of the app itself, what would be the learning goals that the teacher and the curriculum are trying to attain, and how can we combine the two together? Can the app help assist in terms of meeting those learning goals and connecting to the students in a way that's engaging? So as I mentioned before in my first question, we know that TikTok is very engaging. We know a lot of social media is very engaging. And as you've mentioned, there are successful use cases of TikTok being applied to help put forward a learning agenda. So when we look at SIS, we do need to approach it carefully because, again, the intention and the heart of TikTok is a community engagement device. It's a social media platform, but there is a possibility to engage it as a learning tool as well. So again, with the approach to SIS's use of learning technology, we would want to make sure that the app itself is going to be something that we can connect to our students. It is an effective platform to put forward our learning agendas or objectives for a lesson or a unit, and then to make sure that there's safety across both for student and teacher when the app is being used. So when we come to TikTok as an app, as I mentioned, as a general teaching tool, it's very important for our teachers to be aware of what the content is on TikTok, so that we as teachers and educators and as guidance for the future, we can help steer students towards what are healthy habits and what are healthy content to follow. And also to try to steer away from some of the content that might be on these platforms that are more negative or not as positive in terms of their growth and development as a citizen or an individual. Something that's very important, though, as anything that involves social media, both in the IBDP and in the Ontario program, we have very strict regulations and policies about teacher and student connections through social media. So we do have our school sanctioned platforms through Instagram and Facebook. Leanne, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe we have a TikTok yet, but that's something I'm sure we're exploring. But these are the official platforms that that are being monitored, and we have many people working on it. So these are our platforms that we can use to connect to our students and our communities. What we highly discourage and definitely would address if it were to happen is that we do not permit private connections between teachers and students. Whether a student would really want to follow their teacher through a private mean or in the opposite direction where a teacher might want to follow a student, these things just cannot happen because, again, as teachers and educators, we work in the public trust, and things like this, while the intentions may be altruistic, they may be in the best intentions of teaching and learning, just the image of a connection like that can be very damaging. So we want to avoid those things for the safety of both the student and the teacher. In addition to that, we also want to look at what the school does already in terms of preparing our students, as Elizabeth has talked about, in terms of self-regulation, and as parents, their duties in making sure they have the healthy conversations with their children regarding the use of platforms such as TikTok. At SIS, we do have a strong program that focuses on digital literacy, digital citizenship, and we also focus on digital footprints. So when we're talking about digital literacy, this is the basic foundation of learning how to use technology in a way that is healthy and that is safe. So we're looking at not only how to use applications as they are intended, for example, using like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, or Excel or Google Slides and things that would be used for productivity purposes. It's also important to know that as our children are digital natives, they are selective in what they have chosen to adopt. So there is certain technology that is very attractive and very engaging to them, but they may not have looked very deeply into the operations and all of the settings and different unique aspects that might be very important for them to learn. So we look at healthier uses of technology, especially in terms of our applications, through our digital literacy program, how to protect themselves and to protect others through the use of digital technology. This ties into the second part of our program, which is the digital citizenship. And that is very similar to digital literacy, but it ties into how to be a good citizen. So in general, we are looking at how we build a community and how we work together as citizens within a community. But we're also looking at it in a digital aspect as well. For many parents here, I'm sure you're very familiar with the chat programs that your children use, along with TikTok being the social media platform. We have Discord as one of the main chat platforms. So our students and children are very much invested in those. It is tempting, and there can be influences that might have children make poor decisions when they're using these platforms. So our digital citizenship programs are designed to have students become aware of what the expectations are in the real world, should also translate into expectations in the digital world. So how do we present ourselves in a way that would be helpful, and that would be also a good representation of themselves, and also as a representation of their nation in terms of being a Malaysian working in a digital global network, and also how to connect and learn from others from different parts of the world through digital means. And then finally, the last part we have is the digital footprints in terms of what students will leave behind as they use our digital technology. So for many of us who have grown up with Facebook and Instagram, we may have posts in our social media networks that are 10 or even more years old. And we may not think of it that much because back then there might not have been as much content, there might not have been as much saturation and abilities to create as much as we can now. So we have to make sure that what our children are creating at this point is not something that could damage them in the future, because as we know, once it's posted on the internet, it doesn't go away, really. You can remove your accounts, but all it takes is someone to screenshot or to record, and then it's available on the internet likely forever. So we have to be careful on what we post and what we share, so that way it's always presenting ourselves in the most positive and most helpful light. Now, the last thing I want to mention is that as a school, these are the things that we are working. As Miss Elizabeth has shared, which is very important, these are the things that parents are working on. And as Miss Suhaili has shared, she shared what things that TikTok itself as a platform is working on. None of these things will work well if we don't do this as a team and as a partnership. So as you may have heard before, it takes a village to raise a child. And this village now is a digital village as well as a physical village. So we need that partnership between parents, schools, the community, and now also the apps and the app developers to make sure that we are nurturing our children and teaching them how to use this technology in a safe and healthy manner, and in ways where it can hopefully help them learn and help them be better citizens as they grow and develop into adults. So again, that's a little bit about what I feel is the educational abilities of TikTok, but also I broaden that to just social media applications as a whole.
Thank you, Michael. I remember when we first had Facebook, I was one of the latecomers. I didn't get an account till like a few years later because I was one of the skeptics, just like how we are not so warm to TikTok at first, right? And by the way, you're right, we don't have a school TikTok account yet, unless you're volunteering yourself. Kidding, I'm kidding. But coming back to the TikTok coffee talk, let's move on to our last question before the Q&A session. This question is for you, Elizabeth. Do you think parents are ready to accept TikTok in schools? And if yes, to what extent?
I think just before I get to that questions, I'm really glad Michael brought up about the digital footprint part, because I think that is something that I have forgotten, but actually something that I have practiced with my children. instead of scaring them about, bad digital footprint, we actually started them when they were much younger with positive digital footprints by leaving certain content of theirs. Of course, it was moderated by myself. And over the years, as they search up their own names and search up, certain activities, they could find themselves. I think that's, that's obviously, a way to do it. The other way, of course, is, there are tons and tons of what do you call these examples where we could see how bad digital footprints can come back and bite them 10, 20 years later. So I'm so glad Michael brought it up. Back to the questions, are parents ready to accept TikTok in school? I guess the question really is, are we talking about using TikTok as a consumer or as a creator? Now, if it is as a consumer, I suppose it will be useful when, for example, if it is used as a flipped classroom where students are expected to, quickly pick up certain idea about a concept that will be covered in the class, later. However, I think if you are asking if we are to use TikTok videos in the classroom itself, I think generally parents would be asking, wouldn't that be the teacher's job to teach in the classroom instead of, using, an external resources, but I could be wrong. However, if we're talking about using TikTok as a creator, this is something that I see a lot of potential and possibilities due to the wonderful editing features made available within TikTok itself, which allow one to very quickly create a short video. We could actually teach our young people, our teenagers, ways how they could campaign for a cause that they are passionate about, teaching them citizen journalism, pitching basically anything healthy, creative, educational that we can think of. And TikTok is also known to have a faster reach compared to other video publishing platforms due to its algorithm. So if it is done healthily, it actually helps to leave, again, a trail of positive digital footprints. And again, while assuming this is done in school, while it's being used, use the opportunity to teach digital literacy and digital citizenship as well. So the possibility, I think, is definitely there as a creator. Obviously, there's a lot of guidelines that will have to be put in place, and I suppose the teachers or whoever that's running the program has to be really ready to do it. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So I think what you mentioned on, consumer versus creator, that's a really good and interesting point. We can see it from different perspectives and how the situation would be different on both ends. I'm a consumer. I'm not a creator at all. And I'm not sure how many of the parents in today's audience, how many of you have TikTok, but I guess when I first got my TikTok account, I was lucky, or maybe I just watched the right videos, but I started watching science videos and engineering videos, even though I'm not in that field. And now I can tell you my For You page, or FYP, is filled with science, experiments and things like that. And the kind of views that some of these videos get, I can see, that the younger generation, they're also into these things, because you have videos with like 100 million views for some of them even. So it's not all really just dancing videos. It's not just Dalgona Coffee. There are also other types of content on TikTok. And I think the algorithm is really good because it does suggest other things as well. Like it could be science videos, but then, the next thing that I know, I'm getting videos on nature. And I was like, oh, okay, I haven't seen something like this since I watched, National Geographic on TV maybe 10 years ago. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And then I started watching Netflix documentaries again. So it was quite interesting to see how the algorithm worked. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, okay, perhaps now that we've got a bit more time before 9 p.m., if you have any questions on TikTok, the usage, please drop them in the chat box. A couple of you have submitted some questions before this upon registration, so we'll get to those questions as well. But if you have any questions, especially since we've got Suhaili here who can give us the inside scoop, feel free to drop them in the chat box right now. Okay.
I think while we are waiting for questions, may I just ask one question to Suhaili?
Sure.
How do TikTok address a situation where parents would like their minor to publish content? Minors as in even those who are below 13 years old. You know, the younger ones are very creative nowadays. They do all sort of funny things or educational, whatever it is. And it is with parents' consent. Parents do want to publish those videos. I suppose the accounts, I don't know, accounts could be under the child's name again, depending, because if you have a child who is maybe 12 years old, you do want, and is under a supervision, you do want them to leave a digital footprints, and as such, you do want the accounts to belong to them, but it's under supervision. So how do we navigate around such a situation?
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, for this one, I get an idea actually, because since below 13 years old, we understand that TikTok actually restricted teens below 13 years old to have an account. So from here, we will get the idea that TikTok wants the parents to supervise these teens below 13 years old. What you can do, maybe you can create your own account and then under your name, and then you can allow them to post their videos through your account. And then when they already reach the appropriate age to use the platform, you can guide them to create their own account. And then you can also get their videos from your account to be transferred to their account.
Is that a feature that's available for the video transfer with all the likes and the views? Because, you know, that's really what we're after nowadays.
Maybe that one I am not really sure yet, but I do believe that you can actually transfer, meaning like you can actually hand out your account yourself to your teens, or you can, I'm not really sure about that. I will look up into it, and maybe I could provide you the information so you can also provide the information to the viewers.
Yeah, sure. Because that's real life scenarios in terms of how we can positively encourage the young people to use the platform, you know, for in a good way. Yeah.
Yes, that's true actually, because I can see that kids nowadays, they have lots of things in their mind, and then they want to express them out. Yeah, but I believe TikTok has that. It's just that I haven't discovered it because I am more to safety and privacy tools. But not to worry, I will provide you the information.
Yeah, we could probably arrange a separate session for that. That would be quite interesting. Very, very educational, very progressive. Instead of just saying, oh, I don't want them to be on because I'm just so scared, it's all the negative influence, but focus on something positive that, they could gain out of it as well, especially digital footprints. Yeah.
True. I totally support that.
Yeah, that's great. Seems like we might have our next coffee talk topic, maybe. Okay, so let's go to the questions. We have a question here. How can parents effectively monitor the usage of kids on social media or TikTok if we were to let them register or use TikTok? So Heidi, I think you've touched on some of the parental controls. Maybe you can take this question on.
Yes, sure. If you have the app on your device and you have an account, actually, I already opened it on my phone. I'm not sure if, of course, you cannot see it. But then, okay, if you go to the settings and privacy feature, and then you can scroll up, you will see under digital well-being, there's a feature where you can actually set the daily screen time. And then you will get notified whenever you reach the time. And then the next thing is you can have screen time breaks. Like Leanne, you said just now, sometimes you don't realize that suddenly, you already like 30 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, you do not have to worry about that. You can start to set your screen time breaks so that after, for example, 20 minutes, you will get notification. Hey, it's already 20 minutes, stop, you should do something else or whatsoever. Okay, and then also, you can check, like you will have the summary of the week, like for how long you already been on TikTok. Like you can start to maybe pondering upon it, like, okay, I should really tune down a bit from getting too immersed with videos on TikTok. Yeah, that is what that are the tools that parents can use with their teens. Yeah, together they can share their consentment on with each other, like this feature should have or not on their teens account. Yeah, thanks.
I don't know if you can tell from my face, but I'm feeling extremely guilty when I opened the app and I was like, maybe I should do this for myself.
You already set the books. That's good. That's good. Good to
Yep.
know.
Can tell that I'm not the best, with self-control. Okay, so coming back, we have a question for Mr. Owen. You mentioned SIS digital literacy policies earlier. How does that affect the mobile phone usage in school? Can the student use their mobile phone in class?
Okay, thank you, Leanne. As I believe it's communicated to earlier on when parents are interested in learning about SIS, but we do see the mobile phone as a learning tool. So as is mentioned in my response about TikTok as a learning tool, in terms of software, we look at hardware as also a learning tool. So students are permitted to have their mobile phones in class, but we do have strict school policies in terms of when it's appropriate to be used and when it's not. So I do trust my teachers to make sure that they are clear on when a mobile phone is used and how it's going to be used as a learning tool. And then if it's being used poorly or being abused in the classroom, the teachers are empowered to address that. So again, the mobile phone isn't the only learning tool, it's just one of the many learning tools that we have.
Okay, thanks, Mike. So the next question that I have, is there a guideline on the amount of time children should spend on TikTok or other social media platforms? Maybe Elizabeth, from a parent's perspective, would you be able to share your thoughts on this?
I'm laughing because, again, our children in being digital native, as much as we hold them back from having a smartphone, which I did for many years, it comes to a point where we will have to let them have it because most schools are using it as a learning tools. As parents, we use it as a communication tool as well. We also do expect them to take initiative in terms of, doing research on various things, and that depends on the internet, and that means it's either on their mobile phones or their laptop. To me, it really still comes back to educations. It comes back to self-regulations. It comes back to the village having the healthy conversations with them. And teens, like any teens, we were all once upon a time young as well. We push boundaries and all this, and this is where again the village comes in terms of helping them to navigate around that boundary itself. And I think this is where again, I run a platform for parents who are looking for international schools, or for schools for that matter. This is where, again, when we look for a schools, have conversation with the school in terms of how all these are being, well, how is it being addressed, the guidelines in the school itself. And you have to then decide whether you're comfortable with it, because our children do spend many hours in the school. And when they are at home, the hours are limited. It's normally in the evenings. Working parents are not at home. We're not there with them all the time. We need to teach them all these skills. As much as we teach them the skills, how to cross the road, how to, buy things, how to manage their financial, this is just an additional skills that we will have to pass it on to them eventually. So it's really working with the village, and keep our finger crossed, just like what we do as a parent. We keep our finger crossed and hope that we've done a good job.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Michael, do you have anything to add, since you're dealing with a lot of teens every day?
It's difficult to really quantify, because we do look at the amount of screen time that children have, and over the pandemic we were very sensitive to the amount of screen time. When we look at our healthy and active living programs that we have at our school, Part of that healthy and active living is how to balance the amount of screen time, which would include the use of TikTok and social media. As I mentioned, it's very engaging and it gives them a lot of what they're looking for in terms of content. But it can be very enticing to stay on these applications for a very long period of time. So we use programs in the middle school like daily physical activity. We look at our physical education programs in the high school as ways to help teach students too about the benefits of sometimes logging off and going out and exercising and having a proper nutrition. These are all important things as well. And again, I appreciate it as what Miss Elizabeth said in terms of the village and the families working together. So the teachers are going to be promoting those healthy balances. But again, we're not at home during a lot of the screen time and a lot of this time to eat and have proper nutrition. So by balancing all of these things very well, it doesn't mean we have to cut any out. It's again, the healthy access to healthy use in terms of moderating and moderation. All of those are things that we espouse at our school, and our teachers model it as well. And we make points in terms of our digital literacy and citizenship programs to make sure that our students are identifying how much time they use on their social media platforms and trying to determine how much is too much.
Thanks, Michael. We've got time for just one more question. Let's move on to the final question. To what extent does TikTok successfully moderate its content since there are so many of them? Perhaps Suhaili, you can take this question on.
Oh, yes, sure. Thank you for the question. It's actually if, we have many themes divided by region in TikTok to be able for human moderation. So we have lots of employees, lots of staffs to do the moderation, because the queue is 24 hours. And then we moderate it based on live queue. We don't have queue that waiting waiting for like 30 minutes or whatsoever. No, we do it live so that the content can be delivered to users right on time.
Okay, thanks, Suhaili. Thank you, everybody, for these questions. I believe we have one more question that came in. Perhaps it's because you don't mind, you can just take on this question. Can parents also check how long a child has used TikTok in a week or a day? Besides a link for the parents and child TikTok accounts, can the control be on just the child's account alone? What is allowed versus what is not? Not many parents have time to browse what the child watches. I believe this is a very valid point. Perhaps Suhaili, you can share more on this as well.
Okay, so I believe that this parent, she wants to know that how can the control be alone on the child's account, right?
Yeah.
If you are comfortable to give the trust to your child to have the control over his or her own account, you can actually teach them on how to set the parameters for their own good. And then I believe that other like Elizabeth also mentioned earlier, that it is important to educate them on how to manage their digital life, because this is to avoid them from having negative experience, right, Elizabeth? Maybe you can comment on this as well.
I think that would very much differ family to family. I think back to what I've mentioned earlier at the beginning of the webinar, it really depends on the parents' comfort level being on the digital platform. And again, that goes back to who will then educate the parents to then be able to pass this on to their children. I myself came from the tech industry, so I'm fairly comfortable in terms of how to show them, how to guide them in terms of navigating through. But having said that, the evolvement of technology is fast moving. just for this session itself, I realized how much I do not know about TikTok, and through the research that I have done in the last few days, I am going to test it out more before I can further at least address on TikTok itself. I think there's no answer. I wish there is somebody out there who would launch something for parents to, to learn more in terms of how to navigate through the whole digital world, and then the safety, digital citizenship, digital literacy itself, because otherwise it's just a matter of not doing something or just stopping our children from accessing the digital world, which we know we can't. And when we try to do that, they will do something behind us. Again, all of us were teen before, if the parents say no, we will find, well, most teen, I believe, will find ways to do it behind the scene. I don't have the answer. All I know is I'm trying my best, and but I come from a very different background.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Thanks again, parents, for all the questions. We all know that everyone has a part to play, and we can each cover different areas. Like to echo what has been said tonight. It takes a village to raise a child, and we can be a community that works together for what's best for the children. I think the fact that all of you have joined us today, it's basically a step in the right direction. So yeah. So thank you to all our speakers and to all our guests this evening. We really hope that we've helped you understand TikTok a little better and how you can play a more active role in navigating the digital space with your children. Thank you all, and good night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.